So lovely. It just goes down so nice. What initially drew you to this part of the world and these characters?
I went there with a close friend of mine many years ago. This was 9-10 years ago maybe. And I was just really drawn in by the land and the people there.
And so you said 8 years of shooting?
Not quite of shooting, but so I came there first as a still photographer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I traveled there with this friend of mine, and we met up with someone who took us to 2 ranching and mining bars in the mountains. There's big copper mines there. And I was just like really drawn in and intrigued by by everything there. And so I started coming back when I was in grad school, year after year, to make still photographs. And then over time, I met the 4 guys in this film. And I would come back with still photographs, and I just really missed the sound of their voice. So I started recording them with audio, and I didn't really know what so I came back with photographs and audio, but nothing quite felt right, and then it took me a while to realize I wanted to make a film.
That's nice. So I imagine you had tons of footage to make through. What was it like? I guess the film has such a lovely pace to it, and shifting moods. And how did that all how did that whole edit come together?
The edit was super hard because we had been filming for so long with big breaks due to like not having enough money to go out there, and we needed, at the end to make it look like one film. So it was extremely hard but we, from the beginning, because I had shot there for so long as a still photographer, I knew pretty exactly what I wanted it to look like, where I wanted to be, at what times of day, what lenses I wanted to be at. So I didn't shoot the film, but I think the aesthetic was consistent throughout, and we used the same camera in different versions as it progressed. So yeah, I think we were able to pull it together. Hopefully.
Definitely. Questions for me?
Since it's been such a long span of time, I'm curious, are the guys still with us, or what's kind of going on with them now?
Right, so 2 of them have passed away. Ramon Baca, who is the guy whose cow gets stuck in the fence and who frees it. He passed away several years ago. Maybe I can tell you just a bit about the story. So he got sick, and some of his relatives wanted to get him an apartment in a town called Deming. That's about an hour away, or a little bit less. And the story that I've heard about it was that he took one look at the apartment and said, "But where would my cows go?" And he went back to live on his ranch, and eventually a big storm did come, and it flooded the river, and he was stuck on one side of it for many days, and he couldn't. And by the time the water went down, he had passed away. So it's actually incredibly special that we have here somebody, Ramon's niece, right here in the audience. It's the first time that Ramon's family is seeing the film, so I'm incredibly honored that she came all the way up from Riverside. And And a few months ago, John Fowler, who's the guy with the glass eye, he also passed away. He had been in a rest home for several years at the end of his life. And the other 2 are still with us.
What were the ages
So I was telling you, so that the last 4 years that I saw Ramon, I would ask him each year, I said, "How old are you, Ramon?" 86. Every single time. So I don't know, Lisa, how old was he? He was 86 when he passed? Yeah, and John Fowler lived a few years longer. He was, I think, the same age. And then That's right. Yeah. Yeah, so they're quite different actually, and there's a whole ecosystem out there of different, cowboy or cowboyish men. And so John Fowler and Ramon Baca, the land has been in their families many generations. Ramon's is 5 generations now. 4, and Lisa's 5. John Fowler, it's been in his family many generations. Pud, who is the guy who's been married 6 times, does not own land, and he's what John would call a drugstore cowboy. But he actually grew up, he says it at the very beginning, it probably passed him by, but he rode bulls in rodeos when he was younger. And Tom Para works the land, manages the land for an absentee landowner. But grew up in that area, and his own family goes back many generations, in fact, on that land as well.
It's an incredibly beautiful movie. I'm just wondering if there were any unique challenges during this production that faced.
Sorry, I had to laugh because it was all so fucking hard. So yeah, there was a few challenges. It was challenging because we were a super small crew. It was just me and a camera person, first a camera woman and then a cameraman. So it was just the 2 of us, and no producer on the ground, no sound person, no nothing. We were living in a cabin at the edge of the Gila forest. So yeah, a film is there's a lot of moving parts, and when you're shooting, it's nice to have some support. But I just it's kind of a hard place to break into. I'm an outsider, obviously, and I had established these relationships with these 4 men before I took out the camera person. So even just bringing one new person in, I was pretty terrified that it would kind of shatter the intimacy that we had established, and I certainly didn't want to have more than 2 people there. I just wanted it to be very much about them and not about us. So it was hard shooting just because, it's just a lot to take care of. And also, this was the extreme joy and the hardship also of working with these men that they've never been filmed before, been anywhere near a video camera or even a sound recorder. So that was all extremely new to them. And for me, that was just the excitement and the thrill of working with people who were real, and the material was raw, and you never knew what you were going to get, if anything. And sometimes people could be on big drunk and, not want to say anything or be too drunk to talk, or or somebody was in a shit ass mood and didn't want to be filmed. These were not people who were they weren't people who were trying to tell their story or give up something. So that was for me, really the number one thing that I enjoyed about working with them, but it was also, it's just hard. You're paying for equipment every day, and blow 3-4 days and get absolutely nothing, maybe a week. Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question. It is a film about the closing down of a certain way of life and American man, and that became more. I went in with that intention. It became more apparent to me as I went on. And even now, Ramon has passed away. The family kept the land, thankfully, but I believe that there's no cows on his ranch. I've heard that Tom Hart, who's the youngest guy, who's the one who's working, who's managing the ranch for the absentee landowner, I've heard that he is selling. And John Fowler has passed away. So I just don't, I wish you could stand here and tell you a different story, but I I don't think that these even the younger guys, and there are very few young guys who are taking it up. But I don't, even those younger guys, it's not the same kind of for me at least. It doesn't have the same magic. These guys are characters, and they're funny as hell, and they're honest, and they're just like so connected to the earth in such a deep way. I think partly through having to do it all with very little support or mechanization. And we're just changing as a country, and so it was an ode to them.
So is ranching becoming kind of more like a corporate, or like do you know about what is replacing this?
I mean, in this valley, there's just very few people left doing it. And the numbers of cows on the land is way down from 1900, which was about the peak. There's huge mines in the area, and that's a big source of employment. I don't know what.
Like another part, wherever ranching is moved to, and imagine there's or maybe that's not something.
I mean, I hear from bigger operations that they're flying drones and flying planes to locate the cattle on the ranch, and then you have next door you have feedlots, where guys like this will take care of the animal in the first year and a half of its life, and then sell it. And it goes on, and maybe it goes on to a feedlot or grass fields in Kansas. And then the slaughterhouse. Part of the problem is that the meatpacking industry is making so much money, and they own the animal for 48 hours. And these guys who take care of the animal in its most fragile phase of life in the first year and a half are making so little they can barely make ends meet. And even Tamar, who is managing the ranch for someone else, he at times worked in the mines just to have enough money to do this. And several other ranches in the area that I know, not Ramon. He worked in the mines when he was very young. But there was a lot of ranchers who also, to supplement the income, because they weren't making enough ranch, and would go, get employment in the mines. So it's just extremely hard to make ends meet, and I think it's extremely hard work. And people nowadays, a lot of people don't want to work that hard. They can be more comfortable and have a guaranteed salary doing something else. So.
So two questions that he was open for something else.
Yeah, so he got a salary. I mean, he had made his money also in Vegas, like he taught me. He told this story that it's right. But he got a salary, and he was in the Lando in there, a few times, but it was mostly power. That I know of, there's two families who have young cowboys who are taking this up. That I know of. Maybe there are others, but there's not a lot. I think there's just not a lot of people who want to keep doing it. It's really hard.
Awesome. So what do you have other projects in the works?
Yes, I just want, before we go, I want to ask Lisa if you wanted to say something, because it's your family as well. I'm interested in wildcat miners. I've got a lot of interests. They're all connected. They're all about the American West and people working the land in one way or another. But we just, I was the last editor to work on this, and we just finished it late February. So I'm trying to get it out there into the world before I launch into another crazy story.
Makes sense, yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming out and for sharing this with us.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's a wonderful questions. Thanks everybody for being here.